Hi, my name is Kimberly Lechnick, Relationship Growth Strategist. Welcome to Intentional Pathways by Design, where you are going to learn how to leverage your personal and your business relationships so that you can level up in your life. I am here today with Beverly Zeimet, emotional archaeologist. How are you doing today, Beverly?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely fantastic to have you here with us. And so excited to dive right in. So, we're going to start our conversation out with a quote, and we would love to get your thoughts on it. So,
Okay.
what is it like to walk in someone else's shoes? Books allow us to imagine it, and movies allow us to see it. But VR is the first medium that actually allows us to experience it. Nick Mulkey.
That's an interesting quote. There's so many viable pieces that come with it, right? And I think it all ties back into judgment, right? And I believe that's why that quote came out, because we were judging others, by their cover, their actions and all that kind of things, right? So when you remove the judgment, to walk in someone else's shoes isn't always, what it's cracked up to be. You think about it, how can someone walk in your shoes? Because we are all individual when it comes to that emotion. We all respond differently. We all interpret our database differently. The experiences that we've had throughout a lifetime, the environments that we were raised in, all of these things make a difference. And again, when you read something, when you hear something, when you visually watch something, all of that information is gathered through how you feel it, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, right? And so it's like to walk in someone else's shoes, you kind of got to project yourself and just say, you know, I'm not in their life. I'm not in their head. I'm not in their emotional, body. So it's like, I need to honor their truth, because whatever it is that they're living and walking in those shoes is individual and unique to them. And that's what's defining them in the moment. And if you want someone to honor you while you walk in your truth, then you need to honor others. And by removing judgment, you attain that.
Oh my goodness. Excellent. And we're so excited to learn more from you. And today, our focus is on how we can leverage those relationships, specifically our business relationships using VR. So, we would love to learn from you today, Beverly. What is virtual reality?
Well, it's just that. It's virtual, meaning that it is it is seen through the eyes, right? And we all see through our own eyes with, again, our own database. But the virtual reality gives us an opportunity to almost kind of like look at it as being an interdimensional walk. It's moving into a fantasy land that really doesn't necessarily have to be fantasy. Because really, in essence, every time you watch a movie or a TV show, right, you're actually in a virtual setting,
Mm.
right? But you're not there, but you take on the role. You talk about walking in shoes, you take on that role of an actor or actress, right? Whether it's a child or an adult, and you begin to do what? You begin to feel, you begin to like relate to what's going on, right? And so you become immersed into that avatar of who that is in that movie that you're relating to. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes wonderful sense. It makes wonderful sense. And if you're listening right now, I invite you to go ahead and ask questions and make comments, because Beverly is fantastic at fielding those questions, and she really wants you to understand what virtual reality is. So yes, oh my gosh, it makes perfect sense.
So basically what we're doing is taking the 3D world, right, into a 5-dimensional. So the difference of watching a show, where you kind of immerse yourself and become that avatar of someone else, you have the option now to walk into an environment and have your own personal avatar that walks like you, talks like you, even looks like you, dresses like you, feels like you, all of these things, right? So now you are kind of one with the environment that's there, and you will find others doing the same thing. So when we look at the chaotic world that has happened here over the last couple of years, we've been separated. The human element is not designed to be a unit in its own right. It's designed to communicate. And again, you talk about those relationships. It's to be there, interacting, face to face, human to human. And we've been built up with so much fear and anxiety. And, like I said, with all that chaos, how do you go beyond that? Now, we're not here to take you out of the world of what reality is. And again, it's all our interpretation of that reality, right? It is to merge the best of both worlds. So when you look at the world of technology, technology was here even in the ancients. Now, seriously, think about it. Do you think the Egyptians drug these massively tons of rocks halfway across the country and then piled them up to make it look like a pyramid? Hmm. My brain don't work that way. There's got to be, levitation or equipment, right? That's where my brain goes. So, when you look at technology, it's been there. So you can take technology. We live in a world of duality. So we have the good side and the not so good side, right? So what we're doing here in the business that we're working with, the megaverse, we actually changed the name. We don't want the metaverse. We want a megaverse, which is, something that's going to be comfortable and build a community of relationships. And that's the power of it, right? Right.
So I'm going to stop you right there because we're getting in right now. So if you're leaning in and you're listening to Beverly Zeimet, emotional archaeologist, we are talking about virtual reality. And we're just now getting into the power of how we can leverage our relationships using virtual reality. So Beverly, please continue.
As that emotional archaeologist, what you do is you uncover, because the emotions are what define us. The emotions are what put us into our world, right? And how we respond and interact and react. So everything's an action and a reaction. So when we understand what those emotions are and we start to move them out of the way, because they're not who you truly are. They're defining you falsely. So we move that out of the way so that we can reveal the identity of your true self. And when you're working in the virtual reality world, it becomes so much easier to let that guard down because it's a safe zone, and just be you. Just be you. And you begin to blossom and you begin to grow. And when you're in an environment like what we're building here in Megaveris, it is a community for those that are joining us, built by those that are joining us, and collaborating together in those bonded relationships, whether it's done with business, whether it's done with education, or whether it's done with entertainment. Because we want to have fun too, right? And so now think about it, how this country came to being. It was built on small businesses supporting each other. When you come into Megaveris, you are now going to be interacting with other entrepreneurs and other business owners, and it's going to bring that back. And we're going to be supporting each other's businesses. We're going to have education in there for adults and children. We'll have universities and we'll have daycare centers. Now you say, how can you have that? How can you have a daycare center? Well, think about it. Probably not for infants and 2-year-olds, but when you start, when you start getting kids in there that are 4 and 5, they live on those equipments, right? They live on that. That technology is part of their cells, right? And so when mom or dad or both have something that's going on, if you can bring them into a daycare center because they're already playing these little games where they know what it's all about. Now you have someone there, an adult, a teacher, someone who is saying, hey, today what we're going to do is we're going to draw. You guys got all your little paperwork out there? Let's draw. And they can show each other what they've drawn, right? They can interact. And then it's like, oh, let's go for a walk. Everybody ready to go for a walk? So all the little avatars stand up and they go and they walk, because we're going to have green areas in there where you can take a hike. You can go into nature. There's going to be all kinds of things along the pathway where they can say, oh, what is this? Oh, it's a caterpillar.
A
Oh,
question,
wow.
a question is coming up for me though, Beverly, about,
Yeah.
about the childcare, about the daycare center, right? So I'm sure that individuals in the audience are going, wait a second, how is this working? How am I having my kid on the computer,
Right.
on the computer in a daycare?
Yeah. Well, it is, my brain just really goes outside of the box. I mean, majorly outside the box. So that is a relevant question. And it's a very good question. So it's again, being able to see the vision beyond, so it's use your imagination, get back to that. That's something that we have lost, as a child. And this is kind of what I help my clients with, is let's go back to that pretend world. It's safe to pretend. When you say visualize, it starts to get foo-foo sounding, but you say, hey, let's just play pretend. Now it's safe. And that's what the environment is in there. And so when your child is in that little avatar, he already knows, or she already knows what that is. You don't have to explain it to them. They're all over it. They would live on the TV or the computer 24/7 if you allowed it, right? We already know where do you go? And they have these little things, when you're out to dinner or anything. But what are they doing? They're playing on those things. What are they doing in the car? So trust me, you don't have to worry about them jumping on. So now they're engrossed in that, but they got their little friends, and they can actually talk to that avatar. It becomes that reality, because a child lives in the fantasy world, in the pretend world, in the safety net of that. But now you're going to give them an education and some skills. They're not coming and joining on a battlefield where, with all these games and stuff. They are actually getting an education. And then when you go on a nature walk with them, there's going to be all kinds of things. There's going to be different trees. Does anyone know what kind of tree this is? Well, what grows on that tree? Things like that, right? Oh, here's a rock. Oh, wonder what kind of rock this is, right? I know what that is because my mom's got some and it's a crystal, right?
I love that. I love that. And this is, I think we can really kind of dive in and learn more about that. And for those of you who are
Yeah.
listening, we'll continue to have these conversations so you can understand more about the virtual world, because it is our future. So Beverly, if you could leave us and talk to and share 3 strategies that can help us leverage if we're thinking, hey, wait a second, like I really want to get involved in this virtual reality, I'm getting really curious about it. Can you give us 3 strategies today that will help our listeners really understand how they can leverage relationships in their business?
Oh gosh, definitely. And in intertwining that in with the availability on the virtual reality space. You know, first off, the relationship that you have, and you talk about quotes. There's a little quote that says, "How you do one thing, you do everything." I'm going to change a couple words. How you respect the relationship with yourself, it's how you respect the relationship with others.
Mm.
Okay. So it all begins with the self. So when you want to figure out, with a relationship, you can't give more out of yourself or something different out of yourself than what you give to yourself. So it's important, number one, get that relationship with yourself, learn how to trust yourself, learn how to depend on yourself, and learn how to love yourself. Right? And build up that confidence. And that's what virtual reality does. Virtual reality really ups the level of confidence like that fast because the guards go down because there's no self-judgment with the self saying, oh, is my hair okay? Is my makeup okay? Are my clothes okay? you don't you don't have that in there. And people aren't conscientious if they're standing on stage and they're speaking. They're just whoosh and letting it go. It's so awesome to watch. So that relationship again begins with the self. And then that relationship begins with others. So when you can be in a community of like-minded people and of entrepreneurs that really get it, and education, is relevant. And so you're having educators that are getting it. It's like the system, the way it's built today, just doesn't cut it. And our kids are proof of that. They're dropping out of school right and left at earlier ages all the time because they're bored. They're bored, right? And they are so intelligent, So again, it's like get in a community wherever that community is because we want to bring the community of the virtual reality world in that safe space to be able to move it out and have that collaboration and that connectedness in the real world out here on planet Earth. It's time for us to move into that peace and harmony. And so if we can get that into our blood and into our cells and into our memories, and enough of us can take it out into the world and have that and not live in fear. So that relationship, built in that virtual reality world is strong and powerful. And now we're building not only relationships, on a personal level, but on a business level. And we can help each other's small businesses get back to the freedom what built this country, right? And get back into that and start supporting each other instead of these big corporations. So think about it. Would you like to go shopping? Because there's going to be huge malls in here. So you can go shopping for anything and you can walk into the website instead of, and talk to a human instead of ordering it off of a picture, right? And make it more personal. So would you rather buy something from someone in a conversation? Or would you just rather go to you know, some of the big corporations, and I won't mention any names, but I know you know who I'm talking about.
I love that. I love that. And oh my goodness, such amazing content that we chatted about today and we learned from you, Beverly. And we are excited to continue to learn from you. So, thank you so much for joining Intentional Pathways by Design, where we are learning how to leverage our business and personal relationships. Thank you so much, Beverly, for joining. And I'm so excited to have you back to continue to educate us on how powerful developing relationships in the virtual space can be.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. And I look forward to the next, meeting that we have and just sharing with your audience because there's so many beautiful things that are all coming out of this. And we want to make sure that they become a part of that. So if you're interested in wanting to know how to become a part of that, there's a comment box down here, you know, and either reach out to me or reach out to Kimberly because, oh, we love to share.
Absolutely. And if you enjoyed this content, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and have a wonderful day. And if anything, take a look at those relationships and find out those areas where you would like to level up. Have a great day.
Bye.